many of the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand.
The things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So, have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And answer questions about how we got started and enjoy the audience feedback on many levels. It's been just phenomenal meeting new friends. And a lot of those guys are going to be on the cruise with us on March 15th also, by the way. So there's one question that continues to come up. Has there ever been a time that you wanted to give up? They would ask me questions in that kind of a manner. Like, have you ever felt super down or you're like, this is it, I can't make it anymore? And I kind of paraphrasing that question, but it's interesting to note that many of you know the inauguration of the fake Biden actually broke me in a sense where I wanted to actually give up. And I recorded my final podcast in what I thought would be my final one in 2021 on inauguration day of Biden, thinking it was all done, that everybody was like throwing out the towel and we're done. However, thousands reached out to us via email, and PayPal donations flowed in and heartfelt messages, and I felt the Holy Spirit prompted me to go back and research, and I did, and created 3 videos in a row going over all the proofs that the 2021 inauguration was pre-recorded and that it appeared Donald Trump actually received the honor of becoming number 46. Yep. So I always tell folks to go find those videos. Well, today I put them all together with some editing. I'm cutting a few things out here and there to bring that back to you to share with your friends and family if you want. It's the timing's right for this because we're starting to see more and more information come out on the stolen election of 2020. So sit back and hopefully you will enjoy this video today.
It's Thankful Thursday, and this week we've partnered with Brightcore to give you a collagen sheet mask along with our new holiday green tote. We're so thankful for your support this season. So with any purchase made from the Shop and We Know site, this will automatically be added to your cart. And if you're wanting to add these to your cart, don't wait because it's while supplies last.
So as you see here, the 3 thumbnails that we had up at the time, and these videos are still up on our BitChute channel. If you notice, you'll see Castle Rock. Our plans are not God's plans. That was January 21st, 2021. Then we had This Show is Amazing, the movie, The Final Act, January 22nd, 2021. And then we went over through the weekend. And January 25th, Future Proofs Past, Enjoy the Show. The proof seems undeniable. And these videos I've, again, stitched together for you. I wanted to show you some of the things that have been coming up here recently. Folks are looking at like the mail-in ballots in Democrat-run states and cities, and just kind of a reminder of what we were going through leading up to the inauguration, the fake inauguration of Biden. Just a couple of clips here.
The number 420,987 from the 2020 election. Was that your organization that determined there were that number of failed signatures, or was that the number reported by all of the counties in Arizona?
So, Madam Chair, Senator Bennett, that number is based on a review of a quarter of the 1.9 million envelopes from the 2020 election. We used 150 trained workers that studied the Secretary of State manual and followed those guidelines. And then they analyzed each voter record individually. Once we got the statistics for that first 25% or 400,000 ballots, then it was extrapolated to determine the final number.
Those are Maricopa County.
That is just Maricopa County.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make, Madam.
So 25% of 2020 mail-in ballots, 420,987 out of 1.9 million had a zero signature match. Remember that pain we were going through, folks? And Rudy Giuliani and others were, going all over the country. One of the ladies that was with her actually wasn't a Trump supporter, but faked it, and now she's on the other side. But it's just interesting that we saw articles come out. We were looking at numbers. Remember, Obama had 69 million votes. Trump had 74 million votes. And yet Biden somehow got 81 million. And that keeps coming up over and over again. And Biden happened to get those 81 million votes from 477 counties, yet Obama got 69 million votes out of 873 counties. Trump ended up get 74 million votes from 2,497 counties. And, we're starting to discover through the years, right, we've been realizing that a lot of these folks that end up in the presidency, the power that they have, many of them through the years, through the decades, have been placed there. Didn't actually win. They just make sure that they manipulate the numbers in a way to make sure that their guy gets in so they can control the levers of power. And another big one that came up for us, if you remember, was Atlanta. Just a quick reminder of what was said as you're looking at your screen. And they're moving these ballots around in Atlanta when they said, that they closed it down, yet that people stayed inside. And they're moving ballots and reprinting them over and over, recounting them over and over again, multiplying times 3 and more.
This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table. Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out.
There they are, moving the
So
ballots.
what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses? Is the question. So these machines can process about 3,000 ballots an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe.
That's right. You remember we had the report that Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. And the data analysis found that 221,000 Pennsylvania votes switched, remember, from President Trump to Biden. So we had all kinds of switcheroos happening. And here recently, October 24th, 2025, President Trump said documents show conclusively that Christopher Wray, deranged Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and other crooked lowlifes from the failed Biden administration signed off on Operation Arctic Frost. They spied on senators and congressmen and women and even tapped their calls. They cheated and rigged the 2020 presidential election. These radical left lunatics should be prosecuted for their illegal and highly unethical behavior. And that was from President Trump. And of course, we know that they stole the election. If you remember, they were covering up the windows, didn't want anybody looking in as they were doing their cheating. They were kicking out all the Republicans. Anybody that was questioning the Democrats at all, they were kicked out, and it was chaos. Chaos. And then we got to the the inauguration. As it was getting closer, if you guys remember, we started noticing some strange things going on. And people were stating that, hey, I think during the inauguration, they were probably going to arrest everybody openly in public. And a lot of people were falling for it. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, there won't be an inauguration. President Trump will step in. And they had the inauguration on TV. And I was down until we started looking around and we realized, wait a minute, let me see what's going on. What's really going on. So now let's get into and show you those videos showing the proof of the fake inauguration of 2021. 2.5, going on 3 years now, have been intrigued by this board that we've have seen that seems to be the number 17. I try hard not to say the letter because even though I'm on other platforms, I still try to be careful. But it's been an exciting thing, and I've just felt like it's interesting that the Lord removed me because it's His hand that's on us. He does things according to His power. They removed me 3 times on YouTube, 400,000 subscribers almost, 70,000 subscribers the second time, 10,000 the third time, gone. Well, now I have a little more freedom because we don't have so many locks or telling me on YouTube you can't share those things, so I've got a little bit more boldness. And in that, we look at these things because we know there's just something about them that touches us. It's not God. It's just words, right? But somebody prepared this over years. Just like I get excited over many things. And so I continue to look at these and I continue to wonder what is going on because I just don't see President Trump giving up. And he gave a speech in front of these flags, and I'm going to show you part of it. Again, as a reminder, because he said it was a miracle what they put together. You don't say that when you're leaving the office. So, real Donald Trump tweets 1 year ago to the day, and they say you can add 7 and 10% to all Trump numbers. Who knows? And then he said, but the best is yet to come. This is January 20th, 2020. USA, USA, USA. Well, he got on the Marine One and they lifted off at 8:17, not 8:18, not 8:16, 8:18. And then there were 17 flags that he stood in front of. You think that's coincidence? They're trying to speak to those who believe. They believe that something's going on. As I struggled real hard because, and I'll just, you know what? Let's be transparent here, okay? I was trying to think in my mind as Biden was swearing in, how am I going to give the final message to everyone because they're going to be filled with hate. They're going to be angry, upset. They're not going to want to hear another thing that LT has to say. And I kept thinking, you know what? I deserve it, right? Because I took people on this journey and oh my goodness. And guys, I get pretty emotional too. Emotional guy. Marine, but still, human. And I thought, well, maybe, they're going to be a little bit, not too mean. Well, I went over to Scott McKay's YouTube. He was going to go live, and I thought maybe, I'll watch him for a minute, see what's going on. And I was watching the chat room before he even went live, because as you go live on YouTube, you can chat before it goes live. Every other person on his chat, they were cursing him. They were saying, you're a Q-psyop believer. You led us on a journey of lies. And the others were saying, I trust the plan. I'm sticking with President Trump. Half of the people were angry, upset, and they were taking it out on Scott McKay and all the people that follow President Trump. They had enough. And so it reminded me of the drop from our famous Intel group, the 17th letter. A drop that was given to all of us. Coincidence, the Matrix movie grew people as a crop used for energy and controlled their mind. Wonder where they derived that idea from? Now comes the conspiracy label. Deeper we go, the more unrealistic it all becomes. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. 17th letter. Isn't that something? The end won't be for everyone. It's very difficult. Being on the front lines, spending hours and hours trying to research and put this stuff together, come up with intros to keep the emotion level where it should be, because we all enjoy movies. They said enjoy the show, and I've always felt that God put on my heart to use the skills that are given to me to give everybody hope, right? To give a message, include scripture with it, and help everybody out. And so I finally got some sleep. I woke up and I was welcomed with, in my email box, donations. One after another after another. No stopping now there, LT. That's the amount of love that people have. And I just was overwhelmed and thankful. And I got on the computer and I said, oh, Lord, please help me. So that maybe there's something you can use this voice. What, right? Just like John said, just a voice crying in the wilderness. Prepare the way of the Lord. And here we are. And so I got this up from Q-tip off of Telegram. Just love it. Great info. If you have friends and family gloating on your social media feeds right now, you are not alone. Their character flaws are being exposed. It's quite telling that they celebrate a travesty of justice and completely disregard the evidence of massive fraud, bribes, human trafficking, and other heinous crimes. I know it's discouraging, but let me encourage you to look around at the patriots that are on this platform and similar platforms. They get it. I get it. We get it. You may feel alone tonight, but please know you are not alone. We have not yet begun to fight. There is a whole lot of offense coming our way. If there's one thing we know about President Trump, it's that he never loses. He keeps his promises. Let your friends and family gloat. One day they will come to you and apologize once they are exposed to the evil deeds of the deep state. Keep your head held high and hold the line. He continues to fight for us, we the people. So what was posted by Mike Pompeo on his personal account, folks? Proverbs 19:21. He posted a verse. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. That's right. He wanted us to know something. That we all expected something. Man wants God to do it now. Do it this way. Do it that way. On this date, at this time, because we think we know what's going on. How many years do you think they've been preparing this? 20, 30, 40 years? That's what I think. And so it's interesting because he posted that at 5:05 p.m. and 5:05, if you look to the right here, that's the exact drop that we've been watching Mike Pompeo drop. He was dropping every 30 minutes, every 15, then 10, then 5 and 1. We got all excited. You could see under that the Twitter post that he was putting out when he was Secretary of State. And then you got the 0 in the brackets there, target. He wouldn't just post it at 5:04, 5:03, 5:02. He posted at 5:05. Why? He's letting us know, hang in there. I know the board. You're going to be surprised how this plays out. Now, here's the reminder from the president once again, like in the last video. Let's hear.
How counterproductive it is for the United States to announce in advance the dates we intend to begin or end military options. We will not talk about numbers of troops or our plans for further military activities. Conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables, will guide our strategy from now on. America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
So that's a great reminder of how he does things very well.
Prior to December 2021, my husband Larry was a healthy, active man with no health concerns or underlying conditions. He was a college lecturer and a successful musician, but that was all taken away from him on the 15th of December 2021. That was the day he received a COVID Pfizer booster injection in Oma Leisure Centre.
Well, that heartbreaking story from Larry Lowe's wife. She's talking because it's too hard for him to speak. Just because you didn't react immediately to the COVID jab, it doesn't mean you are in the clear. Mysterious symptoms and even deaths are surfacing months, sometimes years later. So you look at this, the VAERS reports show way more COVID vaccine injuries than something as common as Tylenol. And get this, experts estimate only 1% of cases are even reported. Plus, shedding means you could be exposed even if you skip the shot. Now, mRNA vaccines could be in our livestock, even organic. Why are mRNA vaccines different? It's the spike proteins. These proteins meant to train your immune system can interact with blood vessels and platelets, potentially causing clotting or inflammation. Overwhelming evidence shows millions are affected. So what's the solution? It starts with your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is the number one factor in fixing damage from vaccines, antibiotics, and the standard American diet. And the best way to boost gut diversity is kimchi. Studies like one from the National Institute of Health show kimchi's incredible power to restore gut health. But let's be real, eating kimchi daily isn't easy. That's where Brightcore's Kimchi One comes in. Delivers 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants in one convenient capsule. No mess, no taste. It supports digestion, energy, metabolism, immunity, and more. The And We Know listeners can get 25% off Kimchi One with code AWK at mybrightcore.com/AWK or call 888-317-9941 for up to 50% off plus free shipping today. We haven't had a leader like that most of my lifetime. They seem to always announce when they're going to go after the enemies some way, somehow. And then we find out the enemy is able to run away. So the inauguration of the 46th president, that's what they claim he is. We're going to find out more in a minute how this is actually not true. It's a corporation that's going bankrupt. Stay tuned for some more on that. But anyway, they only had 321,000 views on the White House thing, epic fail, because they had 13,000 dislikes and 3,000 likes. And I noticed the numbers weren't really good on the other channels either. So fraud on the Constitution has been accomplished. That's right. When they got up there and had the inauguration, the vice president was sworn in first. That's not constitutional. Biden took his hand off the Bible before the end of the oath. Not constitutional. It wasn't a Bible. It was an upside-down cross thing. Anyway, Biden was not welcomed into office with the 21 gun salutes. Trump was given 21 gun salutes today. Who's the president? I'm going to show you the 21 gun salutes later in this video. Stay tuned. And I'm going to show you President Trump's. I'm going to show you Biden didn't get it, but something else happened. And I'm going to show you Obama's, just to prove to you that they normally do it right after everything plays out. They have a huge celebration, and there's these 21 gun salutes, and it didn't happen for him. I'm going to show you. So another thing that was interesting was Daily Mail, how Trump's early White House departure has caused a logistical nightmare over the nuclear codes. Military will have to fly football back to D.C. after president takes it to Florida. Do they have to really fly it back? Is that what Daily Mail assumed? Interesting, right? Because those are the nuclear codes. And other sources are saying that President Trump was given nuclear codes and Biden's got the other nuclear codes. Huh. Why would he take it with him? Go a step further. Q-Tip says, like many of you, I was in shock by today's event, but then I used logic. I realized why it had to happen this way and that Q told us it would happen and why this needed to happen. So there's a scare event that would be needed, a scare event. I, for one, know that many were scared. Are you scared yet? Yeah. It's like being on the edge of the Red Sea. Remember the Pharaoh's coming with all the Egyptians and they're fixing to kill us. And you took us out here to die there, Moses. There, Trump. There, Q. You took us out here to die. Number one, Q Post 4821 and 4822 told us that Biden being sworn in would the countries he took bribes from be in control of the government. That's right, because he took bribes from China and Ukraine. Would they actually own the White House? Huh. You go a step further, Biden had to take a private jet to D.C. and was not sent a government plane. This was the first time in history that has happened. Again, I will get back to this point. Well, I went and found the picture of the plane, found an article that said Joe Biden flies private for inauguration after being denied military plane. As the United States of America is preparing to enter into a new administration, another surprising breach of tradition and some say protocol has been recorded. The president-elect had to fly private for the inauguration. Well, many of us assumed that Trump and those in the administration were referring to the next administration. It meant the military. We expected him to step down to remain neutral, as Q said, while all this went down. Trump did say that the next administration would take over at noon today. Like many, I thought this was over when Biden was sworn. However, we thought it was over. Biden swore in. Oh, we're done now. That's what a lot of folks were thinking, right? However, because of the fraud, as pointed out, if the military has the evidence, which they do, remember the the DNI report, the intelligence report stating, the Director of National Intelligence, stating foreign interference, which is a national emergency, then they have the duty under military code to remove the false government and restore a new legal civilian government under military code 11.3, which triggered when Biden was sworn in today. Q post 26, when 11.3 verifies as the first marker. Now we know what that means. There was a fear in the McCarthy era that the communists could take over our government, so provisions were put in place for the military to protect us should that happen. These provisions allow the military to take control while they remove the belligerent government and restore a legal civilian government. Literally, the military was put in place as the last line of defense of the Constitution should an illegal government be installed. This is why they didn't send a government plane for the president-elect, because they know he is not a legitimate president. And once he's sworn in, the government became illegitimate, belligerent, and the military is now responsible for restoring legitimate civilian government. Q said that the end would not be for everybody. We've been told by Trump, Flynn, and others that America would soon get a lesson in the Constitution. Boy, have we been learning the Constitution. So effective at noon today, when Biden illegally swore in with assistance of foreign nations, and by the way, he actually swore in about 8 minutes earlier than noon, he just made the government illegitimate and effectively put the military in control. I thought it was over when Biden swore in today. I realized Q told us it needed to happen for the military to assume control without it being a military coup. Absolutely brilliant how this is all playing out, even for me as I continue to learn. Is there a plan in place after Trump? Q2609, yes, there is. Misty Blue said, thought if the executive order had 45 days to report to the president, about the election, the 45 days to act. That's done by February 1st, 2021. National Freedom Day. Is it possible that our 10 days of darkness starts on about 2 days and then end on the February 1st? The ending wasn't for all of us. Today was torture. I agree. Everybody's continuing to try to guess on dates. We don't want to set dates, right? But remember when General Flynn told us. Remember the story from General Washington encouraging his men to re-enlist in the Army on 31 December 1776. If you will consent to stay 1 month longer. That's from December 31st. 1 month longer to January 31st. You will render that service to the cause of liberty and to your country, which you probably can never do under any other circumstance. Interesting, right? So then we had 659, the shot heard around the world. Freedom Day, January 31st, was posted 2 years ago. Could January 31st be it? A lot of guessing. Then we had the president say this as he was on the tarmac in front of 17 flags.
Despite that, the things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And again, I want to just, in leaving, I want to thank our Vice President, Mike Pence, and Karen. I want to thank Congress because we really worked well with Congress, at least certain elements of Congress. But we really did. We've gotten so much done that nobody thought would be possible. But I do want to thank Congress. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So like you saw in the intro, he mentioned this, and it's just a good reminder how that all played out for that amazing speech. Everyone was in good spirits. Everyone was smiling. Now, here's a great reminder of how Trump thinks about being in a loss feeling, like losing on purpose so he can see who his enemies really are.
You see, I'm so loyal to people. Maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror.
And how are you different than you were 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, I used to say, and in fact I think I said in my first book that, and maybe this was foolish, but I really meant it, that someday I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. And I frankly found out a lot of
Did
things.
you find out who's loyal and
No,
not
I tell you
loyal?
what, and you can't guess it. You can't predict it. You think certain people would be loyal no matter what, and it turns out that they're not. And you just can't predict it. It's very difficult.
And that
I
would
think
have
I
been-
would have treated people differently. I think that, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people that
You gotta-
I think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. I love getting even with people, but I will. I
Slow
will
up.
wipe.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway,
But tell me, you're going to get even with some people. Because
yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people who are disloyal to me. Come on, Joe. Even though you didn't endorse me. He's not forgotten. Never forget.
Never forget. And God put the right man when he swore in 4 years ago. He was 70 years old, 7 months and 7 days, 3 sevens. God had already prepared him at birth for what we've been experiencing. So it's really quite shocking, right? Politico put this out, Yahoo News, you could see that. Inside the ugly transition at the Pentagon, did you know that folks aren't getting in from the Biden administration? The Pentagon blocked members of President Joe Biden's incoming administration from gaining access to critical information about current operations. I don't have to read this whole thing. Just know that something's playing out. It is awkward. Folks feel it. My family, I've got 26, 25-year-old sons, and they're telling me what they're hearing from folks that they talk to, that they think something strange is going on, and they just can't quite put their finger on it. And we get that, right? And did you know that the dress that Melania is wearing, we always talk about what she wears and how it sends like a signal out to people. Well, this one happens to be a pretty good catch, because the old Joker is Wild card seems to be the same colors on that dress she's wearing there on the left. Often the Joker is a wild card and thereby allowed to represent other existing cards. The Joker can be an extremely beneficial or an extremely harmful card. In euchre, it is often used to represent the highest trump. In poker, it is wild. Wow, amazing, right? Remember when President Trump invited everybody to D.C. and he said it is going to be wild. How this is all amazingly playing out. Now, here's something that President Trump said in Alamo, Texas, as to Biden.
The 25th Amendment is of zero risk to me, but will come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration. As the expression goes, be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. How many have ever heard a president talk like that to an incoming supposed president of a country? Not very many, but I tell you what, Ted Nugent lit up old Biden. He wrote him a letter via Facebook moments ago, and it's going viral fast. Just in case it is censored, here it is in its entirety, and this is from S. Davis 071. Let me zoom in. Dear Vice President Biden, although I refuse to listen to it, I understand that during your presidential acceptance speech, you were calling for the unity of Trump supporters. I remember 4 years ago, my President Trump also called for unity. I remember how congressional members of your Democratic Party responded by boycotting his inauguration. I remember how you and your Democratic Party cheated and used the greatest law enforcement institution of this country to spy on my President Trump's campaign. I remember how you and your Democratic Party created a fake Russian dossier to try and impeach my President Trump. I remember how your Speaker of the House ripped up my President Trump's beautiful State of the Union speech on national TV. I remember how you and your Democratic Party tried to impeach my President Trump over a Ukraine phone call. You accused my President Trump of pay to play. Came to find out, Joe, it was really you and your son, Hunter. I remember how you and your Democratic Party blamed my President Trump over a pandemic that he had nothing to do with. I remember how you and your Democratic Party encouraged rioting and looting of my great United States of America. I remember how you And your Democratic Party used the media to spread the lie after lie about my President Trump. I remember how you and your Democratic Party stole the election from my President Trump. This Trump supporter remembers all that, Joe, and will not be unifying with your Democratic Party. Your abject criminal dishonesty is treasonous. You belong in prison along with the rest of the swamp. Ted Nugent. What an amazing letter. Hope that's true. I don't have a copy of the letter right. These are just texts. Let's hope that that is true. But it was good to have a reminder for all of us of how we've been treated. And it's not just the Democrat Party. We find out how many of the percentage of the Republicans also turned and let us feel pain. So while this is all happening, Arizona Republican Party put out Maricopa County audit incoming. That's right. All these things seem to be happening now for immediate release. Statement from Senate President Frank Fan on agreement with Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. They're going to actually look into the election integrity. Another thing that's interesting, right, is all the presidential bets in Vegas won't be paid out until March the 5th. Very important date, right? Because if you watch other folks and you hear how this is playing out, and I'm going to read it to you in a moment, called the Marshall Report. That's why this video is going to be a little longer, but I think it's important. If you have time, I'm sure you'll pause it and listen later. But it's interesting that they know that date, because March 4th seems to be the date that President Trump would be sworn in according to the real system of America. Well, when George Washington crossed the Delaware, did anyone see it coming? No. And that's why it worked. I'll be honest, I didn't think they would take it this far, but it makes complete sense when you think about everything you've learned up to this point. So, did anyone see this coming? No. The Delaware has officially been crossed. Did anyone notice Joe Biden was sworn in before noon? Because he was. They knowingly committed high treason, and the whole world was watching. Patriots are in complete control. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. So watch this real quick as President Trump gets off the plane on the tarmac. Listen to what happens. So no need to belabor the point, but just wanted to show you the guns. You hear the flags and flourishes. I believe that's what's being played. And I'm going to read to you more in a second. We did some research, me and my son, to find out exactly how this is supposed to play out, right? Because a 21-gun salute on arrival and departure with 4 ruffles and flourishes is rendered to the President of the United States, to an ex-president, and to a president-elect. The national anthem, or Hail to the Chief, as appropriate, is played for the president, and the national anthem for others. Right? So, in these ceremonies, the national anthem of his or her country also is played. So, incidentally, U.S. Navy regulations require a 21-gun salute be fired at noon on President's Day, Independence Day, and Memorial Day. Now, what I noticed about the Biden one was this. These guys were driving in, so I'm going to play. You'll notice the cars driving in. I believe Biden is in one of those, along with the rest of their entourage. And I let this play out as they're driving in, and I did a little timing. I said, okay, they just pulled in, and then they switched the camera, and there you see, here rests in honored glory an American soldier. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, I believe. So then I counted 40 seconds later, after they switched the camera over to this site, you see these guys standing here, and then watch what happens 40 seconds after you saw those cars pulling in. Interesting, right? They're in a cemetery. There's 2 guns that keep shooting, right? There's one on the right, one in the middle, and they shoot the one on the right again. See that? They didn't even use the one on the left. And I played this through and watched it. And then I went back to the beginning. I saw the swearing in ceremony, and I said they didn't play what they normally do for these inaugurations. And I think this is important to just show you. It's an important point. Because look at old Michael and Barack when they've got their little inauguration. Interesting, right? How come Biden got the more of a funeral service there? And they were shooting with the two guns. These guys got, you go back to President Trump, and I'm sorry to belabor this point, but, look, four lined up. These guys are, doing great things. And you know what the mainstream media does for all of you guys that still watch the satanic, demonic frequencies of mainstream media? Or these demonic newspapers or magazines, they're going to tell you, oh, it's because they couldn't bring enough guns over to do it the proper way, or they'll come up with whatever excuses that they want to. They keep running from the truth. Again, Trump was given a 21-gun salute today. Who's the president? I'm going to talk to you about that in a second and read you the story from the Marshall Report. I know this video is at the 40th minute, probably more. But even more so, look at this as the military is being, there's a drive-by from the Biden motorcade. Notice something here as they're driving by. You'll see these guys are standing at attention because they know who's coming by. Then you guys, all these guys with their backs turned. You see that? Then you got these guys kind of standing there, not at attention, just kind of chill. And then you got more guys with their backs turned. Now, I know in the Marine Corps, if we saw the president going by, we'd probably tell all the Marines to stand, turn around, stand at attention. That's just my thing. You could say, oh, these guys didn't know that they were driving by. But I tell you what, if President Trump was driving by, I really don't think the military would turn their back on him. My personal opinion. As a matter of fact, when he flew down to Florida yesterday, Dan Scavino posted this. He had a song playing. You could see all of these people waving flags, Trump flags and more in Florida as they celebrate the president of the United States, no longer the corporation. That's what Trump's talking about the miracle. Another great thing was the farewell address from President Trump had 5.5 million views, and the farewell address from Obama was only 910,000. After 4 years, right, that it's been on the internet. And, of course, farewell for Trump in 14 hours was 5.5 million views. Addiction recovery takes more than just time. It takes energy, clarity, and hope. And no matter how broken you feel, healing is possible. And there's a way to restore your brain, your body, and your spirit. At New Spring Wellness, your brain restoration program addresses the physiological changes in the brain caused by substance use, aging, and chronic stress.
It literally, those cravings for me, it was a constant. Every second I was awake, I would wake up in the morning, okay, what do I need to get done today till I can go get my alcohol? And it got to the point where I started drinking earlier and earlier, and to where it just controlled my life.
Their brain restoration protocol reduces cravings, supports mental clarity, and restores energy, giving you the strength to take back control. At New Spring Wellness, they approach recovery with both a medical and faith-based approach. Through Jesus Christ, they find hope, redemption, and the strength to overcome. With brain restoration and faith in Him, you can step into a new beginning. Your past does not define you. Through Christ, all things are made new. Give them a call at 573-577-3400 or go in the description box below to newspringwellnesscenter.com/and-we-know. Start your journey to sober living today. Castle Rock, you saw the title. All please remain calm. We just entered Castle Rock. Castle Rock is a chess move where you back away your pawns and back your own king into a corner to retreat while sacrificing rooks, bishops, and one knight. As your enemy advances toward the corner, some of your surviving pawns become queens. By the time they finally move to a position, any opponent's moves comes to checkmate you. They would in fact be moving to checkmate themselves, surrounding all available moves and defenses of their own king by the pawns who have now become royalty. It is a very aggressive and deceptive strategy that appears to be defensive, but is actually offensive, also known as peace through strength. Peace through strength. Now, as promised, I think it's important that we read this Marshall Report. I don't like going long into videos, and I apologize. I've seen others that go live and talk for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I just don't have time myself for it. Many of you said, keep talking, LT. We don't care about the length, but today I think is more important than ever because I think many have probably given up. They said, it's over now. You've lied to me. You've had me go onto the PSYOP. Oh my goodness, I never want to see you again. I get it. Let's listen to this if you're listening while you're doing the dishes or you're driving. Maybe this comes out in audio for you. But I'm going to scroll through and read this, okay? I normally don't like to. I take pictures and try to create a good presentation for you, but not for this one. Here we go. Trump ode to the corporation. D.C. is fenced off and the president is never going back to the White House. But no, not for reasons you may be thinking. Fear not. There will be a new Capitol built and an end to income taxes paid to the tax collectors of the corporation that is now in the hands of a new administration. They went to all the trouble to steal a corporation whose assets are in the process of being seized. Most did not see this coming, for they did not even know their nation was a corporation. But it is indeed but now. No more are the states subject to it. Please read on to understand the nature of the battle we are in. In 1871, a seditious act was performed by the government. A coup was made to rewrite the Constitution and put we the people in all capitals under a new corporate contract transferring the United States of America into the new corporate of the United States of America, which transferred to the power of we the people and the Constitution over to the new corporation. When they did that, it placed the citizens in the United States as property of the corporation, which was centered in Washington, D.C. This action made Washington, D.C. a foreign entity on American soil of sovereign states. It was established through a loan from the Vatican when D.C. was transferred into a city-state, and this corporate entity then ruled over the people. Citizens' rights were taken from them in this process. No one realized this. When they did the broker deal to get the loan from the Vatican, they did so via the Bank of London. At that time, they transferred all the property in D.C., Columbia, over to the corporate entity of D.C., a foreign corporation. The forming of this corporation in D.C. is of major importance to understand, for when President Trump signed an executive order in 2018 on election interference fraud for entities, both foreign and domestic, it outlined how assets would be seized. The president and the people knew and had the proof that a coup transpired out of the corporation of the United States of America, along with other foreign nations, and was ignored by the corporation in D.C. They continued with their illegal steal, and the military is now in the process of seizing the assets of this foreign country known as the Corporation of the United States of America. It appears that President Trump's executive order was actually directed at the Washington, D.C. corporate swamp cabal all along. D.C. is now walled in and filled with military guard. President Donald J. Trump has moved out permanently, for he cannot be president over a sovereign nation in a foreign land, which is what the White House and Capitol are. President Trump was voted in by we the people, not the corporation. After Donald J. Trump exits the White House, D.C. will be locked down because it will not be possible for a foreign ruler to rule over a foreign country. Therefore, the foreign ruler must be locked out. In this case, that would be this new administration. Now you see what is meant by Linwood's shouts that we are in the second revolution. We are literally watching the reclaiming of the United States of America. What this means for we the people is many things. One of them is no more IRS. Watch and see how this plays out. It is a genius move. God is in charge of this nation and is now leading his elect to restore this great nation called by his name. Is that not amazing or what? And it gives me great hope, folks. Again, I will tell you, I've been at great peace since getting a little sleep and prayer. I've just had peace. My son, 26-year-old son, said, I just can't explain it, Dad. I just feel at peace. I feel like there's a victory today, even though we watched Biden get sworn in. Interesting. Many people are saying that. I made some calls today, and they said, I feel it. I sense something. God's doing a great work. Well, Trump girl again said additional National Guard troops arrived to provide security in D.C. after President Biden's inauguration. Why? We just read and talked about it. The military is taking over. Isn't that amazing? So then President-elect Joe M., storm is upon us, said it's a bad crime to attempt to cheat in an election. It's a worse crime to actually cheat in an election. It's the worst crime of all to steal an election. Certify fraudulent results and get to the finish line. Maximum penalties are now on the table. We caught them all. Buckle up. Pawn to queen, right? Cyber Patriot on the, what is that thing called? Telegram, yeah. If you are in a storm at sea, you may not see land for many, many days, if not weeks or months. Hope that land exists beyond the dark skies is bleak, and many will give up. But the captain knows he is responsible for all on board and must press forward. He has promised we will beat the storm and come out victorious. We all want it so ABC, easy and done. We are talking about defeating the deep state, folks. Perhaps the best approach is defeating them while they think you and all your followers have been defeated. Good words there. And Freedom 6 put this out. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Sun Tzu, Art of War. Amazing, right? President Trump has been prepared his whole life. And you heard him in that quote from that interview. You know, you just lose on purpose. You find out who these folks are, and then you're able to get them back and get them back easy. And Sun Tzu seems to be Art of War, something that he's used with many others as we're hearing this all play out. So then you got this from Newsmax. Somebody put this up. Isn't that funny that they're saying they're going to have Security Clearance Improvement Act of 2021? They want to prevent the QAnon followers from receiving access to classified information. You know why? Because it's all falling into place. And I'm thankful now. Thank you, Lord, for removing me from YouTube so I can openly share these posts. The people that want to make fun of it and talk about it and say it's not real, they want to say it's a psyop. You go ahead and keep doing that. Go ahead, because the more you do it, the more you're digging yourself a hole, because we are realizing more and more that this was set up for the patriots. For those that want to say, you know what, I see what's happening. Is it always perfect? Is the information there always completely perfect and right? No, they said disinformation is sometimes necessary, right? Because we want the enemy knowing what's going on. Well, let's go a step further. Military source in D.C. for the last week, my battalion has been sleeping on the floor in the Senate cafeteria. Today, the Senate kicked us out, moved us to a cold parking garage. 5,000 soldiers, one power outlet, one bathroom. This is how Joe Biden's America treats soldiers. Do you see it? So America's going to start waking up right after the president, an amazing president, walks out. Those that are on the fence about President Trump, those like, well, I'm not going to say his name, but there's a big pastor, I used to buy his books, who said, I'm not voting for Trump. They're waking up to find out just the horror of the treatment of this satanic, demonic administration. They think that they're part of it, but they're a foreign entity now. Wow, from a source, yesterday dozens of senators and congressmen walked down our lines, taking photos, shaking our hands, and thanking us for our service. Within 24 hours, they had no further use for us and banished us to the corner of a parking garage. We feel incredibly betrayed. You go a step further, Elizabeth Louis Feta said Jill Biden thinks giving the National Guard candy like it's Halloween or something will make up for her husband sending them off to sleep in parking garages. Sickening. But who comes through for us once again? The real president. The one where the military's taken over now, and he's going to be stepping back in, and we look forward to that day as it's coming soon. We feel it. We sense it as these things are playing out. Continue to stay in prayer for this, as the enemy is ticked off and will fight back at all costs and do things. I've got intel that says that they were going to do something very nefarious on that election day, and they had to pull back on some of the plans. That's okay. God's got this, because we're starting to see it all unveiled. Two different administrations. This is how Trump treats our heroes. Look at this. The Trump Hotel in D.C. had the police inside. They're welcoming them, and we're getting news also that the president wants to support the troops there also and not have them sleep on the floor of a garage. So here's a reminder from President Trump. I love to hear him in my videos, so I wanted to play this once again real quick.
Despite that, the things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And again, I want to just, in leaving, I want to thank our Vice President, Mike Pence, and Karen. I want to thank Congress, because we really worked well with Congress, at least certain elements of Congress. But we really did. We've gotten so much done that nobody thought would be possible. But I do want to thank Congress. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you.
Have a good life. We'll see you soon. See you soon. Oh, I'm smiling. Can you hear it? Can you hear the smile? I hope so. It's pretty cool. Interesting movie we're watching, right? Well, Castle Rock just happened to come up. We talked about that in the last video and the Castle Rock moves. And also, did you notice that this movie that's playing out, and I'm going to show you some clips of this movie from the inauguration in a second. Notice all the unrealistic coincidences since the Pedotas Fox inauguration. The fake EOs signed. They were fake executive orders. I'll show you that in a second. The Oval Office carpet matching a production company called Castle Rock. I'm going to show you that in a second. Where Bannon and Mnuchin name, they've been involved. That's right, because if you look over the far right, all 18 movies and shows Steve Bannon wrote, directed. From where? Castle Rock Entertainment. Steve Mnuchin, Secretary Stephen Mnuchin's also executive producer, I believe, on there. Huh. Well, the Hollywood-like stage of the Oval Office posted on Twitter. I'm going to show you that in a second. The simple fact that Trump was the first president not to attend his successor's inauguration, the fact that Trump was the first outgoing president to leave in Air Force One, the fact that Pence, Pompeo, and other cabinet members did not see off Trump, the fact that the Pentagon did not share certain secrets with the Biden transition team. Now, let's look at this comparison. Rudy Giuliani had just a quick Twitter post. He didn't post these pictures, but I thought this was interesting, right? The American people were at best virtual participants in today's inaugural. It was a purely staged media event for the elite. All other Americans were invited. And so here we go. Notice that President Trump, as he's sitting in the Oval Office, the wallpaper's straight up and down on the back lines there. So on the right, look at the wallpaper change, and I'm going to explain this more as we get through. Let's see if I can zoom in on that right there. You guys see that? Pretty cool. As we go a step further, I think I zoomed in too much, so we're going to have to just go out a little bit on that. You'll notice that one Oval Office is available from Castle Rock Pictures, which built an extensive White House set, East Wing and West Wing, on the Culver lot in Los Angeles for the 1990 film The American. That's right. So if you look at this right here, I'm going to go right here, you'll notice the set on the top left of for Castle Rock Entertainment, the picture's replica of the Oval Office. Notice all of the things match where Biden is sitting of a movie production set. And so what were we told in the 17th Intel Group 4414 post? Remember, we were at Red 1, 2, 3, 4, Red 5, Red 6. Those were all leading up to the end of this thing called Castle Rock that we didn't understand, but now it seems to be falling into place. One Oval Office is available from Castle Rock Pictures. It's been used by Disney's Nixon and 20th Century Fox's Independence Day. Huh. Notice the just the similarity there with that one. So if you go a step further, we go to the inauguration. I want to show you this. I'm going to push play and then I'll talk about it in a second. Notice this girl on the left and this boy on the left side walk into frame. They're getting ready. They're talking. Pull masks off. You got look at that girl in the back left. Watch her.
Repeat after me.
Watch the girl in the back left.
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. do solemnly
She's
swear.
gone.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
Did you catch
execute.
That? And so the audio went perfectly. Watch the audio. Watch the audio. There she is.
After me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden
Perfect
Jr.
movie production. So they step into frame. You got the boy on the left with the red tie. Didn't see him either. And then you got the girl with all white. The next thing you know, they pull the masks off. He puts his hand up. And boom. They're gone. The edit of this movie, they messed up. The director really messed up. They say, oh, no, they're standing right behind him. Really? Look real close. There she is. Remember, that boy is right there next to him. He could have disappeared, right? No, his shoulder is gone. She looks over at him, little laugh. And next thing you know, she's gone. Where'd they film this? Well, let's go a step further. On the top right, you see that day was a beautiful, beautiful day. Right? Beautiful, beautiful day. And then let me see if I can zoom in on this. Let me go right here. I'll pull this right here up. And you'll notice, top right, beautiful day, right? Sunshine. And then the webcam from the Capitol, Washington, D.C., January 20, 2021. Overcast skies, kind of dark. Huh. What's going on? Well, we got this video that was put out. It's in the description box, folks, if you didn't know that, if you're new to this channel. I try to put as many links as possible of all the stuff that I find right there. I'll put it below, but that's how I collect it all. And old Scotty on YouTube, I can't subscribe to him because they won't let me have a channel. Well, Scotty Films put this out, and you got Steve Mnuchin, is an American investment banker and film producer who served as the 77th United States Secretary. So you go a step further, and you can see all these films from none other than Castle Rock Entertainment. Well, what did the German Foreign Office mean by this photo? You're watching a movie. The return of the United States to the WHO and Paris Agreement, the prospect of early talks on the future of the JCPOA on the President of the United States, Joe Biden's first day in office. All this points to a new kind of cooperation. And look at that. There's a picture. Sure does look like a movie set, doesn't it? It sure enough does. What did they mean by that tweet? Huh? Pretty interesting, right? As you go to that. Thank you, Amazing Polly, for that. Pointing out these things. Shall we play a game? Nothing can stop what's coming. More coming. Why is this relevant? How do you show the public the truth? The show. Right? You go down, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you've got Castle Rock Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Sometimes a good movie can provide a lot of truth and or background, official secrets. Relevant today. You see it more relevant than ever. Well, then you go a step further. Watch and listen closely as old Biden signs documents. Check this out. I don't know what I'm signing. He signs it anyways. And this is another one, folks. I just kind of throw little things here and there, left and right. It doesn't really match everything, but it's just interesting, right? That there's a Hillary here on the right that's super short with old Bill. And then there's a Hillary that's super tall up to his nose on the right side. Which Hillary do we have today? Who knows? Anyway, here's the Federal Register, folks. At Fry Lamont put, while Biden may be signing, he is undoing everything Trump did with all of these so-called executive orders. As of right now, there's no such EOs on the registry. So that's just me. That's why I didn't want to show it to you. But bottom line is, if you go there, you'll see Joe Biden, Donald Trump. Joe Biden has issued 0 executive orders between 2021 and 2021. So then I went and clicked. You can actually click on the CSV or Excel file for Joe Biden on this bottom right part. See, I clicked on it. And this is what it showed me. Let me see if I can zoom in, and I'll have to bring it up to the front. You'll notice it's empty. Nothing there. How long does it take them to upload those documents? Anybody out there know? Does it take a while for them to upload once he signs them? I thought they go into play right away. Anyway, so I clicked on President Trump's download them, and folks, they're just loaded with all kinds of executive orders. And let's see if we can zoom in. Let's see, the last one he did, it looks like official, protecting the law enforcement officers, judges, prosecutors, and their families, building the National Garden of America's heroes. I mean, it goes all the way across. You can see the document. The publication date was 1/22. The signing date was 1/18/2021. So there's a 4-day gap from the time of signing to uploading. Let's go to this one, 105. Signed, 108 publication date. So you can see that it takes 3, 4, 5 days. So we'll give it, a couple more days and see if those things actually go out or not. But some other great things that are happening while he's signing all these orders and claiming to be the President of the United States, you'll notice something very interesting. What do we notice? Look at this right here. Bohemian Grove divestiture. As of January 20, 2021, Balinov Glamis Group International and Rosabal Industries have sold all interest in the Monte Rio property. Having disposed of our property rights, Glamis hereby ceases to provide any oversight for the property or the activities. Bohemian Grove is gone. All interested property have been sold. No more satanic gatherings will occur there. Folks, I'm going to show you some more things that have been destroyed here recently. Say it with me. Patriots. Patriots are in control. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. So all the folks with the 17 movement, all you crazy folks, the folks that, are following all this, we're the ones called the crazies. They're the ones wearing the entire bodysuit mop level 4 with their gas mask on, saying that we're crazy when when we're putting out the truth and they can't stand it. They want the truth killed. They want us gone. They're going to do all they can. Why? Because we're starting to find out and show the public even more how this is playing out. Did you notice the Standard Hotel is gone, taken away? It's shutting down. That's right. That Standard Hotel, if you've been following for many years, is a place where the pedophiles hang out, do very deceiving things, crimes against children and more. Shutting down. Also, you had the National Guard soldiers killed in a helicopter crash in New York State. So Q-Tip said this is a decode, unbelievable proof. How do you explain Q calling out the Standard Hotel and the helicopter crash in the same post? Look at that. There's a helicopter crash in Standard Hotel. Both of these events were in the news yesterday. I reported both events. The Standard Hotel has been shut down, which was a perverted and evil hotel where sick events took place. And 3 National Guard members were killed in a helicopter crash. If this doesn't slightly spook you out or reassure you how real the 17th movement is, you might be brain dead. Going a step further, did you notice that there were posts put out with all of those and more that the Maersk ship loses 750 containers overboard in Pacific Ocean? Los Angeles. Well, why is that relevant? Let's zoom in here. You'll notice that future post past and that same one feeling okay today. Why is the MX border Long Beach port so important? So you have the Standard Hotel in Q1203, the helicopter crash, and then you have future will prove past. The past event that they posted, the future, it's going to prove it. If you're feeling okay today, notice this, the MX Long Beach ports. Why is it so important? Well, where does this Maersk ship lose their containers, the Pacific Ocean? They're going to Los Angeles. To what port? What port are they going to? It must be the Long Beach port. Where do they traffic in all of these things that they do? I'm trying to be careful because of this video and people are watching it. What are they trafficking in, folks? And we'll go a step further. Today's the 1-year delta of this 17 posts. Castle clean equals clean house. It also coincides with the executive order President Trump issued protecting the sanctity of life. What are these folks doing against life? What are they doing against life? So, question to ask. someone who thinks Biden is the president. Why was Biden denied a military plane to bring him to D.C.? Why was the typical song for the arrival of the president of the United States not played for Biden during his inauguration? Why wasn't Biden rendered a 21-gun salute as customary for an incoming president? You know, like the one Trump received the same day. Why was Biden's inauguration streamed as live in Spain 10 hours before the scheduled time? Why did Biden remove his hand from the fake Bible where his oath was finished? Why did Biden get sworn in after Kamala, which is not constitutional? Why did military turn their back to Biden when he drove by them rather than face and salute, which is absolute requirement for service members? Why doesn't Biden seem to have the military launch codes near him? You know, like the ones pictured with President Trump. Why is the Pentagon blocking access for members of Biden's administration? You go a step further. Check this out from the DOD. A U.S. Air Force Security Forces airman guards a C-17. There's the number. Globemaster 3 during a training exercise at the Pittsburgh International Airport. That was posted at 3 p.m. What number 3 says, open your eyes. Why is the National Guard called up across 12 cities? Trust in your president. So here we go. We're showing you more proof, more information, how this is all playing out. What movie are we watching, folks? What movie is being played right in front of us? Are we watching an amazing president and things that have been planned probably for many, 20, 30, if not 40, 50 years? Who's been involved in all of this castle cleanup? Are we getting near to something wonderful? Something that we just couldn't possibly imagine because we've been under a guise of so much corruption for so many years? Let's hope and pray that it plays out where we have this hope, that we fight back as patriots, that we hope and see a real election happen. The plan obviously included Trump losing the election. 2, election fraud evidence gathered to show foreign interference. 3, evidence presented to military to show occupation. 4, Trump lawfully turning power over to a provisional government run by the military. And 5, military nullifying illegal election and running a free, fair, and open one. We get to vote for Trump again. That's according to this Anon. And this time, no matter what state you're in, your vote will count. Power returned to the people.
Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
Pretty amazing that the office of Donald J. Trump, if you look at that seal there, we're going to talk about it more in a second. January 25th, 2021, the statement from the office of the former president, Palm Beach County, Florida. Today, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, formally opened the office of the former president. The office will be responsible for managing President Trump's correspondence, public statements, appearances, and official activities to advance the interests of the United States and to carry on the agenda of the Trump administration through advocacy, organizing, and public activism. President Trump will always and forever be a champion for the American people. Now, what is interesting about this whole thing, if you look at the seal that he placed on that particular letter, it's very interesting because it looks similar to this seal that you see here on the bottom right, National Security Act of 1947, a law enacting major restructuring of the United States government's military and intelligence agencies following World War II. So you go a step further, United States National Security Council. The White House NSC is the principal forum used by the President of the United States for consideration of national security, military, and foreign policy matters with senior national security advisors and cabinet officials, and as part of the executive office of the President of the United States. Since its inception under Harry S. Truman, the function of the council has been to advise and assist the President on national security and foreign policies. Do you think that's a coincidence that these seem to essentially match in a sense? You got the colors a little different. You got the shield a little different shape, right? So I went and counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, I believe. There's 7 lines there. And just kind of looked at it. You've got different text, but still, it seems to make sense, right? Because we've been talking about restructuring the United States. We've been talking about getting rid of the Corp, the bankrupt USA Corporation. And so it seems like there's a slow transition of information to get into the psyche of the people as this thing seems to unfold. We'll go in a step further. If you look at our intel drops, you got the drop for statement from former President Donald J. Trump, 4821 and 4822, if Biden became the president, knowing he took massive amounts of bribes from China and Ukraine, right? And then you had 4832, shadow president. Trump is now the shadow president. And then the drop 22, what former president used the military to save the republic, save America? And what occurred exactly? And then you have Team Trump Facebook says save America. So here's where the future proves the past. Enjoy the show. Isn't that interesting? So we have these drops that were placed there a long time ago. Drop 22. What former president used the military to save the republic? That's the past. And guys, now we see the future proving those past intel drops. So then you go to Save America. You see that from Team Trump. Updated their cover. Interesting. Right? And that's where you've got this right here from October 31st, 2017. What were we told? That's where the former president used the military to save the republic. Biggest drop to ever be provided on poll. Isn't that amazing? Study and prepare. The masses tend to panic in such situations. No war, no civil unrest. Clean and swift. I like it. Let's be clean and swift, and that's what we've been hoping for. Time frames, we don't know. We try to guess. We hope. We pray. But even more interesting is lately lights going out from the Washington Monument without explanation. National Park Service is investigating. I bet they are, because even our 64 drop November 2nd, 2017 said, should the lights go out, please know we are in control. Do not panic. We are prepared. Assets in place. God bless. So we go a step further. Did you know that the National Guard is going to keep 7,000 of its troops in Washington, D.C. until March, officials say, for security measures to protect the Capitol building and other buildings in D.C. From what? From what? What's going on? You remember we shared in a couple of videos ago that Vegas said they're not paying out their bets for the president, the winner of the presidency, until March 5th. And most folks believe that March 4th could be something happening, right? And we don't want to get stuck on dates, because every time we do, we get super disappointed when it doesn't play out. And we know disinformation is possible. But what a ride we have been on. And a lot of these things seem to be all suddenly coming in to, into our psyche, and we're starting to see it play out. So, what did we have for a March 4th drop from last year? Is there a benefit, think public optics, to allowing your enemy to open the front door? Warlike posture activated, think thank you for playing. Well, all subsequent inaugurations, if you didn't know this, from 1793 until 1933 were held on March 4th, the day of the year on which the federal government began operations under the U.S. Constitution in 1789. Isn't that something? March 4th is when they used to have the inauguration. These National Guard guys are sticking around till March. The bets in Vegas said they're not paying out for presidential winning till March 5th. I wonder if somebody let them in on something. And then also March 4th, 2019, we were told promises made, promises kept. Trump, I can play that game better than them. So I wanted to share this once again. A guy who recorded the inauguration. Just quickly hear how he talks about it.
Hey guys, we're here at the inauguration. It's the most bizarre scene you ever saw in your life. There's like 100 people at the Biden inauguration. And it's dystopian. So there's nobody here. There's like more people up here with the press overlooking the Capitol than there are at the inauguration. We're here with Fox News and CNN, and this guy Eric is great from TBN. He's a Middle East correspondent. Really great coverage. Conservative. So again, it's freezing here. It's like 25 degrees. It's snowing. Kamala Harris and Amy Klobuchar just spoke. There are more people at the West Palm Beach airport waiting for Trump than there are here at the inauguration. Truly an incredible time in our history. I've been to past inaugurations for W and Trump. There were 500,000 to 1 million people at each event, and even Obama got close to probably 700,000 or something like that.
So he goes on further and he talks for a while, and I thought it was interesting that the media was so far away from this thing called an inauguration. Another thing I found interesting is, as we talked about before, he said it's snowing, and you could see the overcast skies. And I know, folks, I'm not stupid. I know that sun can peek through the clouds, but it seemed like if you go back and watch the inauguration, it was crystal clear blue skies. Capitol Hill, 11:43 a.m. There's a picture. See that? Crystal clear blue and wonderful skies. And yet when you look at this guy, when you again, you can see the overcast skies. You can see some rain, some snow, whatever in the background from this video that's not very clear, but you can see it doesn't look very bright and shiny there. And then they had if you looked at the weather, folks were posting this, it was supposed to be 42 degrees and mostly cloudy on January 20th in Washington, D.C. at 12:24 p.m. That's that picture you see on the left. So again, just some strange things, and we've been hearing from other folks talking. They're sharing their intel that they recorded a lot of this beforehand, did like a movie production. You saw where I was cutting. Some people disagreed and said it was just the angle of the video I was showing. It was not. They disappeared. I looked at it different ways. They were gone. And so somehow they intermingled the inauguration, which was actually happening that day, somehow in front of these people, and at the same time they were showing a different recording. And there were even others that said they received the recording hours before the inauguration. They had already received the recording that was going to be shown to the world. Why so much deception? So anyway, John McNaughton put out this photo, and Dan Scavino tweeted it out. President Trump holding up what seems like an unveiling of a wonderful picture We have the 1871 United States of America corporations dissolved. Number 2, Donald Trump and others signed a new American Declaration of Independence July 4th, 2020. This is what we're gathering, the information we seem to be gathering as we put this all together. The United States military knows true 2020 election results of all legitimate votes cast before foreign interference altered the results. Welcome to the new constitutional republic of America and her first president. Now, Dan Scavino didn't tweet this on the right. It's something that I pulled, and I just wanted to line that up with the painting that John McNaughton put out. Now, I'm going to explain a decode on this particular painting. It costs $204. There seems to be a reason it's priced at that. January 25th, 2021, the Department of Justice, Office of the Inspector General, initiation of an investigation. Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz announced today that the DOJ Office of the Inspector General is initiating an investigation into whether any former or current DOJ official engaged in an improper attempt to have DOJ seek to alter the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. The investigation will encompass all relevant allegations that may arise that are within the scope of the OIG's jurisdiction. The OIG has jurisdiction to investigate allegations concerning the conduct of former and current DOJ employees. The OIG is making the statement consistent with DOJ policy. So, interesting how it seems like, there's an inauguration. They put up in front of us this puppet. There seems to be a fake Oval Office. We've looked at that. Some people told me the wallpaper is the same. However, if you look at several different angles, you look at the background of Biden, you'll see in the window some military trucks, which just are not consistent with what's supposed to be behind him through that reflection. Also, some folks sent me pictures of reflections up in the top of the window that seem to be studio lighting. There's so much more. Most people are gathering the information. A lot of us have uncovered it. We know that this inauguration was strange. We know that it's strange to have barbed wire fence holding people in rather than keep people from coming from outside trying to get in. There's just too many things going on, and the investigation would seem to continue, right, even though we don't trust a lot of these entities in the government. So if you didn't see this picture is where old fake president is standing in front of. Look at this. Weird. I was looking at it trying to figure out where in the world this is set up. Strange because they're calling it the White House and there's media there. And this is what he, just for a few seconds, we can hear this demonic presence talk about masks.
If we wear masks between now and the end of April, the experts tell us we can save 50,000 lives. 50,000 people otherwise would die. Thank you so very much.
Oh, so amazing. And everybody comes down and they bow down and worship him. And, they bring their pens and they just say, oh, finally, we've got this wonderful guy in office. And he said we need to wear these masks. It's going to save lives. And then they will give him all of the glory for saving America. The fake news, enemy of the people. So I promised I'd talk about this. Remember we talked about the registry. Well, it turns out the Federal Register, as a promise, we'd go back and look at it, and they did put the executive orders that were signed on the Federal Register. From what I gather, somebody sent me that they actually don't go into effect for 30 days based on rules. But, another thing interesting is somebody sent me this. John actually sent it to me. Thank you, John. The U.S. Department of the Treasury. Look at this. Secretary of the Treasury, vacant. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, vacant. Undersecretary of International Affairs, vacant. General Counsel, vacant. Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Calvin Mitchell. We got a public affairs guy. A guy can, wordsmith. Secretary for Management, vacant. Assistant Secretary of Economic Policy. Guys, you get that? I don't have to read them all. Just go check it out yourself. They're vacant. As we come to a close, I just wanted to remind you of something. Last time, or two videos ago, I talked about Lazarus and how we were stumped in the inauguration and saying, how come you didn't make it in time and do it the way we wanted, right? Why didn't you make it in time, Jesus, to bring Lazarus, keep him from dying? He's been dead for 4 days. And then we know that Jesus brought Lazarus from the dead after 4 days. We talked about that. Well, I have devos with my family every now and then. I call them 5-minute devos. And I went ahead and went through the story with him after I had the video. And something really caught my attention in one of the verses. Then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen the things that Jesus did, which he just brought Lazarus back from the dead, they believed in him after they saw this. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things Jesus did. So they ran away to their little Pharisees and said, look what Jesus did. He brought this guy back from the dead. Oh my goodness. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered a council, and they said, what shall we do? For this man works many signs. Now pay attention to verse 48. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe. If we let him alone, everyone will believe. And if they believe, check this out, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. Satan's tactics always the same way. They don't, Satan and his minions, they don't like to lose their power, their place, or their nation that they gathered by lying to people, taking their money, putting them under slavery. Same tactics in a different way of looking at it for us today. They have never left President Trump alone, even now. What happens if you leave him alone? Everyone will believe about the freedom that's being brought about by that man being used, and I believe he's being used by Almighty God, as most of you do. So I promised to show you this, the masterpiece by John McNaughton. It's $204. Very interesting because 204 on the Intel board. What's up, Q? Please tell me life will get better, growing tired, and need hope. That's a question from an anon. What does the 17th letter say? We are winning bigly. That's 204. The same as the painting of 204. Is that a coincidence? Because that painting from John McNaughton, absolutely amazing, says, I believe that Trump will yet reveal in the future a great degree of prosperity, justice, and American influence that has never been seen before. His greatest achievements are yet to be revealed. How will history remember the presidency of Donald J. Trump? I believe it will be considered a masterpiece. What an amazing set of events, and glad to have all of this documented for us and for the future. And hopefully someday we'll have maybe a huge museum with all the Anons up and all their videos and everything, proof of how this whole battle's been put together in such a way to wake up the masses, and how they had to do this to wake us up. And it's pretty amazing. And so it kind of reminds me of a couple of cue drops before we go to prayer. 4960, I mean, we could have pulled a lot of them, but 4960, why do some elections take more than a day to count? Can cheating be done after the polls are closed? Who controls the poll books? Who controls the databases? Who controls the elections? Why are extra ballots printed? Then you get this, why did the National Guard activate cybersecurity teams? Who gave the order to activate the cybersecurity teams? To protect the elections, to claim the midterms are safe. Safe from what? Setting the stage. Setting the stage for what? Wow. Watch carefully. White hats have secured many systems, but problems still remain. You have all the tools you need, and the reminder was to vote, and that was in 2022. 2018, you go back then to November 6, 2018. They want one thing, the only one thing, power. They will lie, cheat, and promise you the world to obtain it. They do not love our country. They despise it. They want to destroy it. Show your love of country by voting. Return power to the people. Return old glory to her former state. We honor those who fought and continue to fight to save and defend this great country. We will do our part. Will you do yours? And then we were told to vote 3 times. And then the reminder, justice coming.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, once again, we come before your throne. Thank you for all of the continued guidance and direction you've done in our lives. Thank you for the folks that have been put in charge to wake up the masses to how they have destroyed us for so many decades and wanted to take out our great country that you have so blessed. We ask for continued support and help in the way that we deal with our neighbors and we deal with each other. And may we take the evidence that's provided for us and use it in positive ways to help us in our daily lives. We certainly look forward to these elections not being rigged anymore, to clean and clear, take out of evil, and the process moving forward, that it would be wonderful to behold. That would be great. And so we bring this before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, for sticking around, and just growing through this whole movement. It's been tremendous to have all of you on board, and we just thank you. So tremendous. We also just want to remind you again that we've got our cruise March 15th through 22nd. Still sign-ups available. You go to andweknow.com, and you'll see that there. We'd love to have you and meet you for that. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with Then We Know, signing out.
Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand.
The things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So, have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.